Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jandaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari I offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And to all of you, because you are Vaishnavas and therefore are the most worshipable in the three worlds. Hare Krishna. Congratulations to the whole team, Team ISV, for an outstanding showing in 2019 in book distribution. We far exceeded what we've ever done before, not only in the amount of money that we gave to the BBT, but also in the number of books that we distributed. This is historic, the quantity. And our mantra throughout last year has been, it's more important how we do things than what we do, ultimately, because we can always do more. But the way that we do things is vitally important, because this isn't about necessarily the bottom line. It's about pleasing Krishna and pleasing the acharyas. And one of the ways that we excel, and one of the places in which we can give our attention to excelling more, is in the ways that we cooperate together. And the verse that we read this morning, and the tenor of the other verses that we spoke about as supporting verses, the area of realization in performing devotional service, as it applies to us, is that although we're motivated to do more service for Krishna, Prabhupada points this out in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna is playing with his friends on the way to a picnic in a forest. Some of the friends began competing with one another to see who can touch Krishna first. And they're running forward and trying to touch him and say, "I'll touch Krishna first." No, "I'll touch Krishna first." And even amongst the boys, there are some kinds of competitions, like one boy steals a lunch packet from another, and then when the boy whose lunch packet has been stolen finds out about it and wants it back, then he goes to take the lunch packet, and then it's thrown to another boy, and they're playing keep away. And Prabhupada points out that life in the spiritual world is not dull, nor is there a lack of competition. But in the end, it's without any kind of envy. When a devotee sees that another devotee is excelling in service to Krishna, he or she becomes happy and thinks, "Oh, I wish I could do more service for Krishna also." But there's no feeling, as there is in the material world, that I wish this person would choke, so I'd look better. That's envy. I always think of it, when it comes to the Krishna conscious movement, what helps me to stay in that lane is to remember that we're trying to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Who cares how it gets done ultimately? I mean, not to contradict what I just said, but the point is, who cares who gets the credit? What I've noticed is, if we're able to resist running after the credit and making sure that I get the credit, then Krishna makes sure that you get the credit. You can be sure of that because he knows what's going on and who did what, when, and how. And it all comes out in the wash. And that makes for a really powerful team. If you got team members who aren't concerned with who gets the credit, then they work together in such a way that they try to augment the other's services. And they're concerned more with the overall team result than they are with the individual result. And that's not to say there won't be competition. As I just mentioned, there already is competition because we're individuals. And we see in an individual way, and therefore we try to excel, because living entities are like Krishna. They have excellent qualities and they want to excel. Somebody's alarm clock is going on back there in case you need to be awakened or something. So in a practical way, here at ISV, there's two ways that we're focusing. One is to continue to do more. And here's the reason I feel it's important to continue to do more and to increase. For what it makes of us to do more. Book distribution is very measurable. When you take out a box of books and you know there was 100 books in the box, and you come back with an empty box, you can write down on a piece of paper, I distributed 100 books. And to have that clear demarcation of how to do more, and also how much Lakshmi we collect, that's something that can be written down. And dollars don't lie. You either have them or you don't. At the end of the year, it's like, let's do more. It's like, we don't have any more. Or, the money's there or it's not. So it's very countable. But the point is that helps us as we go for these goals. It helps us to increase our capacity in all areas, in a personal way and also as a community. And if a community or an individual isn't increasing, isn't trying to do better and improve and refine, then the human experience becomes more or less dull, hackneyed, and possibility of just going on with a kind of mentality that it's good enough. But that's not very fun, is it? Do you think? I hate that. I hate mediocrity, even though I'm an emblem of it. But I'm constantly thinking about how to get off of plateaus because I don't like sitting on them. So Prabhupada created that kind of atmosphere. He was always looking for how to make an improvement, how to grow, how to increase. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well. He had these momentous goals, spreading Krishna consciousness every town and village. That can catch the imagination. And that's what makes our movement exciting, is to think in big ways. And from the beginning of our team here, when we first started, go back to I used to walk to school in the snow stories, but I remember when we decided we were going to get a book table, and we couldn't afford it. We had just started, and there wasn't any accounting system at ISV. There wasn't any money either for anything, practically. We were living hand to mouth. And do you remember that, Mayapur? And we needed a book table, and there was no money that could be allocated from the temple authorities. And so we had to do a little fundraiser, and I think we raised $50 or something, and we got our first book table. And then we had a few MSFs. The first MSF that we had, the devotees were so excited, they said, let's do this every week. And I said, let's just see if we can be steady at once a month. And then after a few months, the devotees came back and said, this is kind of hard, let's do it every other month. And I said, well, I know it's hard, but let's just stay steady at once a month. And gradually we made improvements. One of the biggest improvements we ever made was, we decided that we'd schedule the MSFs a year ahead of time. Because I think we went 2 or 3 years where we just announced the MSF a few days before it was going to happen. There are hundreds, thousands of little adjustments and improvements that we've made over the years in order to create the capacity to do more, to distribute more books. And as we do more books and we push towards that, then we have to refine, we have to create more capacity, and we have to think in a bigger way. And I remember the first MSF where we set a big goal, and there was some pushback. And devotees said, that's impossible. And maybe you're pushing a little too hard. And what's going to happen? And I went home and I thought about it, and I thought, no, Prabhupada did that to us, so I'm going to do it to them. And I wrote an article about thinking big, and I put it on Dandavats, and I sent it to the devotees. And then everyone agreed, and we together in lockstep, we said, yeah, we're going to try for this. Lord Chaitanya willing, we can achieve our goal, and we did. That was one of the first big breakthroughs that I remember. And from then on, there have been one after another. And I would argue that that's the heart and soul of our organization here, is that we are willing to take risks and move forward, and sometimes scary kind of risks where we're thinking like, oh no, how are we possibly going to do that? And what am I going to have to give up to make it happen? But in my estimation, that's spiritual health. To always have a reason to make more sacrifice and to create more capacity and to refine. The greatest of all refinements, I'm saying today, and have said in the past, is to realign constantly with the idea of cooperating together and working as one team. From the very beginning, we never emphasize individual scores, because I personally saw when I was involved in book distribution that it pushed out a lot of the population of the communities that could go out on book distribution, because I thought, I can't compete at that level. I can't do that big. And I remember one day, I was in Los Angeles, I came back from the airport, I wrote my score on the paper, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I don't want to write it because it's not as big as the other ones. And that's when it occurred to me that a lot of other people might be thinking like that maybe they don't want to go out because it's all about the competition of the individual. And that's why when I introduced book distribution here at ISV, I didn't even bring that up. And no one here has ever even thought about it, like individual scores. Who did the biggest? What individual did? And I think that's been one of the reasons that we've had this upward lift over a long period of time. That's just my opinion. But in the beginning, when we started it, a senior devotee objected. He called up and talked to Kurnath and said, Prabhupada didn't do it that way. He did it with individual scores. He emphasized competition. And so Kurnath, he's very smart, obviously. He said, okay, compete against us then. And now, in the way of competition, we have, by Krishna's mercy, been able to rise to a position where we've gone over and beyond as far as scores go in Lakshmi, and we're yet to see how the book scores went this year. But we're definitely highly competitive, let's put it that way, in the way that we're doing it. So this is an essential point that we encourage everybody, whatever level they're at, to participate is high sadhana. To advocate for it is high sadhana. To be part of it is high sadhana. And that we're all for one and one for all. We're all working together as one team. There are divisions within it, like Vedanti tattva vidas tattvam yajganamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdite. It's achintya beda beda. There's one absolute truth, advaya gyan tattva, it's one thing, but there are divisions in it. So similarly in our team, it's one thing. It's a Sankirtan team, one Sankirtan team, but there are divisions in it. So keeping the balance between the two is important so that we can keep the fire of feeling like making individual choices and improvements and so forth, but at the same time always coming back to the point that we're part of one team. So this is one of the themes of 2020. What are some of the other themes that we mentioned? Or was I talking to somebody else about this? We had some themes. You'll mention them as we go further. So what is the main point that I just made? Just so I know. Could somebody take the microphone and be a spokesperson for the rest of you? And if you don't like what he or she says, then you can object. Huh?
All for one and one for all?
All for one and one for all, yes. Does everyone agree with that? Is that representative of what I was saying? Yes. So now we have presentations. Is there anything else that I should say? What's that? Oh, yes. And now I'd like to read the names of the devotees who took the Bhagavad Gita challenge, which was to read the whole Bhagavad Gita within several months, 90 days. The following devotees read the whole Bhagavad Gita, or part of it, in 90 days. Abhay Charan read 2 chapters. Ananda Vrindavan completed 18 chapters. Ankit completed 18 chapters. Anuradha completed 18 chapters. Gandharvika Radha completed 2 chapters in all verses. Read 2 chapters in all verses. Gaurasundar completed 18 chapters, but only translation. I didn't mean to say but. I'll just read what it says. Completed 18 chapters, only translations. Gita Priya completed 18 chapters. Gopi Priya completed 18 chapters. Hari Sankirtan, 3 chapters. Kamala Shri, 4 chapters. Kameshwari, 18 chapters. Kautuk Karnava, 7 chapters. Madhava Prema, 8 chapters. Malini, 18 chapters. Priyanka, 11 chapters, and will continue to read until finish. Otherwise, fasting till death. Ram Rati, 18 chapters. Sham Karuna, 18 chapters. Shri Kumar, by Krishna and Devotee's mercy, completed 18 chapters. Thank you. Tarun, 18 chapters. Vrinda, 4 chapters. Harshad read 13 chapters and will finish 18 soon. Raghava, on pace to complete 18 chapters by 1/17/2020. Today's the 18th, call him up. Divyananda, on pace to complete 18 chapters by 1/17/2020. They must be in cahoots. Prasenjit and Mahua, did I say it wrong? Correct? Read sixth chapter. Okay. Congratulations to all of you for staying close to the Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. Okay?
Hare Krishna. We'll start our planning meeting. We have the mood from His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu already. This time we'll be doing a little bit differently than previous years. We have, as Prabhu was mentioning, we are one team, but within the team we have many departments. So all the individual departments have done the brainstorming already, and they have actually come up with a presentation about their brainstorming meeting. So each team leader will get to present for 15 minutes. And we'll have someone keeping the timer here. And when they're 5 minutes away, you give them 1 kartal. And when they are 1 minute away, you give them 2 kartals. And we want to stop in 15 minutes because we want to give everybody a chance to present. And after the 15 minutes, we'll have brainstorming related to that particular thing what they presented for another 15 minutes. So devotees can give their ideas. We'll note them down. So we have many departments, but first we will start with our Motel Gita team, who have distributed over 30,000 Bhagavad Gita just for the marathon. Mayapur Prabhu is also going to cover not just for ISV, because Motel Gita is a global team. He operates internationally. So Prabhu is going to share what he wants to do for 2020 and what was in 2019. There are 6 basic points that devotees are going to cover on what was their goal last year in 2019. Just trying to pull up. They will cover what was the goal last year, how did they do last year, what were their highlights, room for improvements, and goals and projections for 2020, and the improvements that they will make in 2020. So, Mayapur Prabhu.
Om Akyantimiranyasya Gyananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Okay. Thank you, dear devotees, and with blessings of Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, Vaisheshika Prabhu, we are trying to present now, as Malini Mataji just explained, the goal of this Sankirtan presentation. So, yeah, in fact, this is the first time I remember presenting, something like an annual plan and vision. Good idea. So, team, I would like to start first with a big thank you. I'm actually very grateful to be sitting here. My deep gratitude to our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, who taught us the significance of book distribution. Special thanks to Vaisheshika Prabhu, like a father who teaches his kid to start walking. Srila Vaisheshika Prabhu has personally, at least in my case, held my hand and has been the mentor, inspiration, and the cause for Motel Gita in particular, but even otherwise. So, thank you so much, Maharaj. For me, it's personally living and understanding what thinking big really means. So, I'm very grateful to be here under the guidance and inspiration of Vaisheshika Prabhu. Thank you. So with that, as Malini Mataji mentioned, that, one of the things is, what did we do last year? Now, Motel Gita, as we proceed, the goal of the next slide would be to show what we did for each center, where we are. The idea is to give more of, where we are as of 2019 in terms of different centers. Then what is in 2020, or at least what we plan to do in 2020. What are the challenges? As we proceed, of course, things are good, but what are the challenges we are facing as we try to increase? And the fourth point is my personal request. There are certain points where I need specific feedbacks from all of you. Most of you are amazing books distributors. All of you are amazing book distributors. And please feel free to pitch in. You may not have participated in Motel Gita, but sometimes like fresh ideas coming from people who are, seeing things differently or outside will be truly appreciated. So please feel free to pitch in, and I'll try to even make my presentation shorter than 15 minutes, if at all I am able to do it, so that, it can be more interactive. All right, so going on to what we did in 2019. This is an approximation of what it was for 2019. We are trying to get more and more temples involved in book distribution, especially in US. One of the, I would say, highlight or something that we have done differently is, we are trying to start India chapter. SKP Prabhu has helped in some of the operations, and even otherwise, we are trying to set up a few things in India. New Zealand, one single amazing Mataji, it's like a one-man army. Through her inspiration, she has reached out to us and she's trying to, distribute books there. Of course, when I say other centers in the US means there are devotees who distributed. We haven't got the scores exactly from them because they go directly, which is fine. And of course, Team Canada, especially Toronto. We interact with them. We do not count the scores out there, but, we interact and try to assimilate information that they have and brainstorm. So this is where we are in 2019. One of the bigger thing of 2019 is we started placing books at medical facilities, which is hospitals and other stuff. So that's where we placed around 4,800 books. A very important question, some feedback requested on that, primarily on what types of books should be placed there. So we'll go there. So that's where we are on 2019. Now, plan for 2020. Now, one other thing, we are targeting is diversify. So far, in the last decade or so, our focus has been Motel Gita, which is primarily placing books in hotels and motels, which is, where we have had reasonable acceptance, especially by Patel motel owners. And other places is, I've been hearing that Gideons do a lot in other places. In fact, when I was reading their numbers, and they do more, and motel or hotel is not even in the top 3. So I was a little surprised and thought, why not even try that? And some of these things are already done by other devotees at other locations. And, all we are trying to do is get their learnings rather than, starting from scratch, put it in the Motel Gita model that we already have and see if we can synergize. So that is one of our goals for 2020. Transit yoga. This is something that our Dallas devotees, Naimisharanya Prabhu, is already trying to do. It's our good old thing, which I mentioned here, the world famous airport book distribution, which our dear Vaisheshika Maharaj and all our senior Prabhupada disciples used to do there. Of course, this will be slightly different. And Motel Gita in other places, especially India. India has a huge potential. We actually did a sample calling for India to see how it goes. And the devotees who called Indian hotel owners, says, Prabhu, if you just keep me for India, I can guarantee you around 100,000 books in a year. Of course, maybe that's a little on the exaggeration to first year, but to say that the point is, there's been huge potential to place Gitas in India as well. And finally, can we now start approaching hotel owners and franchisees? Well, in all honesty, we are already trying to do that. We haven't had much success in trying to get orders from the top-down approach. try to get orders from the franchisees so that we can place books in all hotels. So these are some of the things that we are trying to plan for 2020. Whenever we diversify, there's always an element of, bit of a risk, because you are entering a new territory, a new terrain. But at the same time, I learned from Vaisheshika Prabhu, he says, everyone trying to do a bit. And in this case, every different aspects trying to do a bit to reach up to the goal. So that's our plan for 2020. Now, more important slides in terms of today's concept of, getting feedbacks. What are some of the challenges we are? A very important thing. The point one. A lot of feedback is coming is that we are now slightly slowing down in the US for a host of reasons. Those who are optimistic or, positive about placing Gitas. So earlier when we used to make, let's say, 100 calls, or if you used to approach 100 hotel owners, and if we got, let's say, 1,000 books orders, or orders from, let's say, 20 hotels, we are still getting orders from those 20 hotels. But earlier it was for each of their rooms, let's say 100 rooms each. And now they say, oh, we already have Gitas, but just give us one more box. That's all what we need extra. So, and the other ones, those who are not still favorable, yes, we are able to convince them. But overall, the point is, in order to get the same number of orders, we have to put in much more number of efforts. So that's also causes us to think about a diversification. So yes, any inputs there? High cost, low participation, what does that mean? As I just mentioned, there are hotels and motels everywhere. And actually, everyone and anyone can just put books in their cars and go out. But there's a cost associated with this project, Motel Gita, because hotel owners don't pay that much as I really wish they would have paid. So that does not give us the participation from other temples as it would have. For example, couple of Indian temples we were able to convince and participated in December marathon, even in India. We had some orders, they participated, and then they said, okay, that's it for December. Let's talk next December now, because we'll get more Lakshmi for next marathon. So I said, okay, yeah, sure, let's talk. But I really wish we could do this. And that's not just India. That was just an example. That's true for most of the temples in USA as well. So dear devotees, especially true for myself, make the best use of where I am right now. And things may never be the same. So yeah, try to do it, while you can. So that was my other point. We can get a lot of orders outside USA also. Examples, New Zealand, India, couple of hotels in Europe. But are we able to deliver it? Like Canada is an example where BBD told us, for whatever logistics or import or export reasons, we are not going to execute in Canada. Devotees are all enthusiastic, but there are practical difficulties. One of them may be the cost. I've heard that it's really expensive in Canada. And if we want to do mass distribution, BBT will not be able to support it. And so logistically, is that a possibility? So those are some of the challenges. And now, I would further like to, today's main session is brainstorming session. So the idea is, here what we are, this is what we have done, and this is what we have to achieve. Those are the things my slide covered. Now, there are certain questions, specifically some of these, and beyond. I may be thinking in these terminologies, but please feel free to give me more ideas. In Motel Gita, one of the questions that our internal team brainstormed, when we call hotel owners, especially those who are favorable, that, we already have Bhagavad Gitas. So the next question is, can we or should we place, let's say, Science of Self-Realization or Krishna book? Is it worth trying? Now, most of the question may be, well, why not? There are pros and cons to it. when we say I'm distributing Bhagavad Gita, I'm not talking with devotees or anyone, I'm talking with hotel owners, especially people of Indian origin. There is a universal acceptance. Bhagavad Gita is, a revered scripture, and I don't even have to describe what is Bhagavad Gita, but that is easily accepted. Now, if I start SSR or Krishna book, there is someone standing next to me, maybe a Swami Narayan follower. Their guru also has a book. Why not? Why should I not then take my Swami Narayan book and start doing it? That might be a question. And so on. So think about it. Is it something that we can do? The advantage is that, sometimes Bhagavad Gita, well, it is a religious book, and people may not be open to read it. Whereas a book like Science of Self-Realization may garner more attention. So that is where this is a forum, brainstorming. And we can try and experiment it if, we have blessings of everyone, especially Vaisheshika Prabhu. The other thing, placing books in India. What's preventing us meaning ISV, to place books? We are already placing books in USA. Our next presentation will tell us the no issue of Lakshmi. So, what is preventing us from placing books in India? Well, there are some logistic challenges, more to do with how ISKCON and BBT works internally. If we can overcome that can open us different avenues, and not just in India, maybe somewhere else too. Next question that would like to brainstorm. We have been placing books at Medical Gita. We started as an experiment, and we were able to get a lot of orders. In fact, just FYI, in January itself, this month, we have crossed, I think, 2,000 books in medical facilities. But the question is, and I discussed this with Meenakshi Mataji in Toronto, what do you place in these facilities? So they said they send out one softbound Bhagavad Gita box. Whereas the feedback that my team is getting, especially those who go out and call them, is that books are not placed in each and every hospital rooms. They are placed more in library, or the pastor himself goes out with a book. So it may make more sense to have different titles being placed there. Now, personally, I also feel that instead of placing a box of Bhagavad Gita, 5 SSR, 5 Krishna book, 5 yoga books, and different titles beyond birth and death, those might be a good thing. So, but logistically, if we are talking about, let's say, distributing 50,000 books in a year, who will make that? Is that a possibility? It's a huge thing. I see what an effort it takes us for one Thanksgiving Friday to do 2,500 books. If you're talking about, scaling that throughout the year, it may not be labor, possible. Of course, I want to talk with BBT. Can they give me some packing made from China? That's an option. Anyway. And final point, extra resource to call. Sometimes, I think great minds don't do different things. They do the same things, but do it differently. So sometimes I was thinking, and I discussed briefly with our leaders also, and maybe that, for example, someone in India was telling me that if you add one more resource, that can give us, by spending around $6,000 more, we can get 50,000 more book points. Is it worth it? Anyways, I've been reminded, time's up, and open for questions. Thank you, Parth. Good job. So, yes, this is my favorite slide. Yes, Radhakripa Prabhu. Can we have mics? Prabhu, to mic. Okay, we have something on the internet too.
So, Prabhu, why in India still there is no activity related to the Mortal Gita? I'm not talking about US-based Mortal Gitas expanding to India operation, but isn't there any already existing huge, ISKCON presence in India? Aren't they addressing already that?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, I know Delhi Temple is doing amazing in corporate book distribution. And but I'm and I know that they have placed few books. But apart from that, are there any, what do we say, a systematic effort to put in a book under one brand? I'm not sure. And probably, in my guess, is the cost is the factor. And that is just my guess.
Yeah, because in a 5-star hotels, at least I remember 7 years ago, I found the books in the drawing table, the Bhagavad Gita from ISKCON.
Yeah.
Especially in Delhi. So.
Yeah. Of course, the Delhi temple is doing corporate. Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
So as far as assessing the question of like what other things you could do or what you could do differently, do you have any sort of means of collecting data on what the response is to the books? Like whether people, like does a motel owner say, oh, 7 people walked off with them, that's why I need to fill them out? Or is there a card in there or a stamp that says, email us here if you want to find out more? I mean, because you could do A/B testing or something like that.
Correct. Very, very valid question. So oftentimes we get a lot of feedback from hotel owners. So a lot of hotel owners usually tell us that approximately 25% of the books disappear. There have been cases where they come to the front desk and ask, can I take this book? In fact, our own Dilip Bhai Patel said, that one lady gave her $5 that I was reading it. I could not sleep. I was reading it, but now I have to, check out and catch my flight. But I like it, and there's $5. In fact, that is one of the biggest feedback from hotel owner is, can you print it? Complimentary copy, please feel free to take one. So the guest can actually take the book away with that. So, yes. So those are the feedback. Now, the other point, how can we actually connect with the actual readers of the book? Like, so far we get a lot of feedback from the hotel owners. And one of the thing is we get a lot of the repeat orders. In fact, as we grow, I think roughly 40 to 50% of our new orders, or maybe even more now, are repeat orders. Where earlier it used to be for the entire hotel, as I mentioned earlier, 80 rooms, and now they say give us one more box. So for, we can replace wherever the books have disappeared. Yeah. Yes, sorry. Mataji, you had a more point or SKB? No. Yeah, SKB Prabhu.
Mayapur Prabhu, thank you. So one thing about you is like you engage other temple devotees also for the Mortal Gita, like Veda with Krishna Prabhu, and very smartly in India also, like all working for one mission, because the Mortal Gita now expanded all over in the remote places of India also. Thank you for that. It's all your
Prabhu, I should thank you, Prabhu.
So, and one more point is, if you think of any using artificial intelligence or machine learning, using how many motels in Hawaii or are more checked in or more check out of Bhagavad Gitas, like something like that, because I was traveling in Hawaii, right? So there is many motels there, but also Indians, but not able to get Gitas. So we can discuss offline, but you can think of that option, getting Facebook likes. Those people also can donate for our cause.
A very good point, Prabhu. I think I'll note that point, that I agree. There are places like Hawaii and Alaska which are tourist spots, but we haven't been able to give them that coverage as much as we have done in the the 48 states of the mainstream US. But point noted. Sure. Yes, Prabhu. Oh, sorry, Mataji. If there was one, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Prabhu. And team, again, this is an interactive. It's not a question answer session. So everyone can also pitch in, wherever they feel appropriate. Yeah.
I wanted to add to a point where you were trying to say that how we can collect the details of the people who want to take the book. So, and we were also suggesting that they can take a complimentary copy. So while we print on the template, this is a complimentary copy, we can have a website or something where they go and put their details and then they get a code. They can have the option to donate also online. And once they get a code, they can give that code to the reception and take a book. So that code could be secret, not revealed. So that way, they get a code. Like most of the promotional websites, they say, give your email and get a coupon.
Right.
So we can do something of that sort.
Good point. In fact, I should have added when Mataji asked me this question that Vaisheshika Maharaj has helped us to get Motel Gita specific Bhagavad Gita. Few thousand copies were bought from Europe, I think, and which has kind of summary. If you want to talk about or read about anger management, or you can go to this page. Go to this page. Greed, go to this page. But yes, all valid points, and as we progress towards having maybe a specific Gita, more to cater to hotels and motels and other things that we are doing. Very, very valid point. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Team, also, one thing I know. Can I get some feedback on what do you think should be the right content for, let's say, medical Gita, hospitals and so on? Someone like, yeah. Again, I know there were a couple of fans and yeah, Mataji, go ahead.
So my sort of naive kind of gut hunch is that Krishna book actually would be a good thing in the medical thing. I know that there's sort of, if you think it, you're like, oh, we should give them something about like, end of life or something like that. But I feel, having been in that situation many times myself, I feel like if I was there, the Krishna book would be joyful. It would be a little bit of a distraction. It would take you out of the situation.
Sure.
And it's just such an attractive book. And it's such a positive book, and it has such a history of being attractive. So that would just be my naive vote. But I also think that if you collected data, you would probably find patterns. And so I wanted to put in a word for maybe teachings of Lord Chaitanya as being a third option, not to make it more complicated. I'm sorry, but
okay. So basically, you are saying assorted books. Yeah.
Well, depending on the area.
Right. Sorry, I know Shraddha Mataji, you had a point. I think someone from the internet.
There were a couple of points, but they already got covered about, one was encouraging guests to take and putting a print in the book.
Okay.
This is Mayank asking this question. Is that, and I think you also answered that, we place soft-bound Bhagavad Gitas. Do we place hard-bound? Because at one point, you used to
yes,
place, right?
the specific Motel Gita specific book that Vaisheshika Maharaj was able to get. Last year, I think we only got 18,000 copies. And haven't been able to get a confirmation from our LA temple that when can we get more. But those are kind of hardbound, but a smaller version. So it costs less, but much more sturdy.
Okay, yeah, because the feedback was that the print is small to read in the paperback.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was just thinking that when we talk about placing an assortment of books...
Sorry, Vaisheshika. The feedback was, can you repeat the last?
Oh, no, I was saying the feedback about the soft-bound Bhagavad Gita was that the print is small, not easy to read.
The print is small. Yeah. In fact, even hotel owners have mentioned that. Yeah.
Just one quick...
Yes, Prabhu. Sorry. Yeah.
I can always talk.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah, regarding the artificial intelligence, at least trying to analyze how things are going. I have reached out to Mayapur Prabhu to collect the historical data, and we will try to do some work around data science there. If we can collect the questions we would like to get answers from the data, it will be useful to at least prioritize and get that list. Again, it's not priority, but we know it's important. So we are trying to lay groundwork. It will take time, but it will be good to get the questions you want to get answers across.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. That's awesome. Appreciate it.
I was exactly thinking, like when you go to Amazon.com to buy something, and they say like people who bought this also bought this and this and this.
Yeah.
Like, people who read Bhagavad Gita,
Sure.
These are some more things for you to read, like something like that can be put.
Okay. Yeah, Achyuta Kumar Prabhu, yeah. Sorry. Achyuta Chaitanya Prabhu or Haldar Prabhu, you had.
So regarding the small print, when we also go for Sankirtan, street Sankirtan, one of the things the visitors ask is, it's a smaller print, can we get something bigger?
Bigger, yeah.
So that is there, yeah. Other point I forgot, maybe I'll recollect and speak.
Quick 2 points. Other books, speaking of SSR or Krishna book, you're saying that Bhagavad Gita is very familiar, easy to explain. How about Bhagavatam first 6 chapter? Like Bhagavatam is also very familiar and may not take much effort for you to explain the Mortal Gita honor. So that way, like it's just first 6 chapter, but can open the venture of complete Bhagavatam set to the people who can connect.
So you mean?
So Bhagavatam first canto, first 6 chapter, we have the small copy, right?
Okay. So you're talking about the hotel rooms, placing the
Yes.
first thing. Okay.
That's one point. And another point is like, if we can brainstorm some idea about how we can raise the Lakshmi from the audience, like either Mortal Gita honors, mortal honors, or the people who are taking the Bhagavad Gita from the mortals. And that kind of brainstorm would be really great. That is a long run can go. And
I agree. Wonderful suggestion. In fact, thinking, we should start tapping things in Silicon Valley, maybe by going at some of the conventions or trade show that this is the project. Yes, Maharaj.
Several years ago, Gopal Bhatta Prabhu loaned me his marketing expert who works for their multinational, very wealthy company. And I talked to her for a few hours, and this is one of the points that she made regarding Motel Gita, was that we should make alliances with more organizations outside our own.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, look for the nexus between our group and other groups. If they have a common interest and we can make friends with them, that will exponentially expand what we have to say.
Very nice.
The other point that I've been thinking about and discussing with some of the other team members here and elsewhere is about Motel Gita in general and the way we think about it. For instance, Amazon, it's kind of a generic name, and it only started with books, and then it morphed out into everything.
Yep.
And similarly, that's what's happening. We've had this discussion also.
Yeah.
But it's important how we conceive of what we're doing with it. And we're starting to do that, but I saw, there's Motel Gita, and then there's Medical Gita. All these things, are things we've picked up along the way. But what we were discussing a couple days ago is that conceiving it as a pipeline, and the pipeline is meant to deliver books in a number of ways. There may obviously multiple ways, but if we have that concept, how to make the pipeline bigger, and there are no blockages in the pipeline to get it out to as many people as possible. So maybe even rebranding, towards that idea.
Wonderful. Very nice, Maharaj. I think, we are out of time, and these are all excellent things. But as an action item, I would personally maybe, have a brainstorming session. I really liked what transpired in this half an hour. And maybe, if time permits, all of you will have a separate, of course, Motel Gita specific session where we can have more and more inputs. I guess, Thank you.
Thank you, Mayapur Prabhu. The mantra that Prabhu you were mentioning was widen the channels and more channels. Channels and more channels. And I know that you have more, if you have more suggestions about how we should expand Motel Gita, this is just a beginning. So you can reach out to Mayapur Bihari Prabhu, and he can share the presentation, and we'll also share a document where you can input more ideas, or you can see him after this, and then he will note down all your ideas. Thank you very much.
I know you will have to have a home program with all of you coming there and brainstorm.
So he's opening his home, and he's volunteering Ujjwala Rasa Mataji to cook for all of you. So you can come and brainstorm. The next presentation would be Bhagavata Seva, and this is a program started 2 years ago, and Sukheshwari is going to present. And the main goal of this was not only just distribute Bhagavatam sets, but also conduct programs for those who take, especially those geared towards children. But now she's going to share how this will be expanded as well.
ॐ अज्ञानान्तिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। I just want to thank Malini and SKP Prabhu for giving me this opportunity, and just want to get started with this project called Bhagavata Seva. It was in 2018, probably end of the year, that I had done a few books in my community after I did some kids' classes. And His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu said, why don't you make it global? Well, at that point of time, I really didn't understand what it meant. And, I could not conceive Prabhu's plan. But it is just that since he had the vision, and so we've actually been able to do a little from our side as a team, Bhagavat Seva. Thank you so much, Vaisheshika Prabhu. So, what do we do? What's the purpose of this project? It's basically to increase the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatams globally. It's not an ISV goal. It's, of course, ISV is part of the global goal, but we have many temples in ISKCON centers where, many devotees in ISKCON centers that are distributing Srimad Bhagavatams. But this specific project is to increase the number of Bhagavatams that can be distributed. And what do we exactly do? We conduct classes for kids, teens, adults, any age group. And we could have it in one particular location, or we could also have it online. Now, one location, usually it's always preferred to have it in the community where you live, so you can actually connect with your neighbors. So you request their kids to come over for a class, or even adults interested or teens interested, and you do the class with them. So basically you start building up rapport. In a few months, because of the children, the parents come and you get connected to them as a family. So it's just not about distributing books, but also a good follow-up and connecting, and hopefully the whole family starts getting to Krishna consciousness. We also have online classes where kids can actually, or adults or teens can attend online. And we have a charge of $50 per month for the classes. And we connect the whole, we request them to send it, the Lakshmi, to the temple PayPal. So as part of this, globally, we thought that we were just starting. We had just one class that I was doing, and then, we wanted to add one more. So we wanted to distribute at least 20 Srimad Bhagavatams for 2019. Specifically for ISV, we had 15 Srimad Bhagavatams. So let's see how we did it, how we were able to do this. So we had, in 2019, we actually had 4 locations and 1 online class. We had Venugita Mataji and Purnima Mataji do classes in Dublin, and I did it in San Jose. In New Jersey, we had Aparupa Radhika Mataji do classes for kids and adults. And in North Carolina and Charlotte, Lalitangi Radha Mataji did the classes, and we also had 1 online class. I had to do double. So in 2019, of course, we want to go global, but we were going to start from home. So we started off with, we had 2 classes in California and 1 online class, that's 3 classes. We had 1 class in North Carolina, and we had 1 in New Jersey. So that was it was a good start. We started off with 4 classes and 1 online, which is, I thought was a good start. And so we did 42 Srimad Bhagavatams in 2019, globally, And so we basically, for ISV, we had 2 locations. One is Dublin and San Jose, and we also had 1 online class. So for ISV general, just for our temple, we did 32 Srimad Bhagavatams. One of the most important, couple of the important highlights that I felt was an amazing experience to connect with like-minded people who are interested in distributing books, like, calling other temples, talking to people who are interested, who already been doing these classes for who are interested to teach people in general. So it's wonderful to know that there are so many people who are interested in actually distributing books. And I will talk about a couple as we go to the next slide. And it was also wonderful connecting with kids, their parents, And we have a set of families that have started attending our Bhakti Vrikshas and getting connected. So it's just the whole family getting together. And as Vaisheshika Prabhu, when he actually talked this to me, he had mentioned that it's not just about distributing books, it's also going to be a good follow-up, where, in many instances where we distribute books, we we also want to cultivate them with, at the same time. And, basically raising Krishna conscious families. Room for improvement. We did have a good curriculum in 2019, but we had not standardized it. So now we have a standardized curriculum for 2020 for across all the places that we have, which I will be explaining how many more locations we have this year, this 2020. And we also wanted to have a core team for expansion, because it was, as we expand, we wanted more servant leaders who will be able to take this up and go ahead and do, talk to more people, because this year we have divided into 2 zones, the East Coast and the West Coast. We also have to, those 2 things we have worked on that was a room for improvement for 2019, and we worked on it. We are, of course, looking for a website. Anybody can help, that'd be great to join the website team. And because online classes we have currently, we have a WhatsApp group that we have created, and we just send the Zoom link, and parents who are enrolled will actually click on it for their kids or even adults. But we want to have a website where we can actually have the timings, and people can choose the timing that they want to attend a class and then actually go online and attend the classes. So our goal for 2020, we want to be able to distribute at least 70 Srimad Bhagavatams. This is around the globe. And for IS, we want to be able to distribute at least 50. So last year's goal was 15, and we were able to do 32. So we want to increase it by a little bit more and say if we can distribute 50 Srimad Bhagavatams. So as I mentioned that we want to grow, we want to expand. So we're very happy to say that Lalita Mataji and Aparupa Mataji have agreed to be the East Coast coordinators, where they will actually connect with people there in different temples and actually ask them to start these programs in their communities. And an amazing little story that I want to mention is Lalita Mataji had these classes, and the little kids of Jaya Mataji, you see there from Atlanta and Philadelphia now, they used to live in Charlotte, and they used to get their kids for the classes. And 1 year passed that they started understanding Krishna consciousness, and they have started chanting. Of course, because of work reasons, both of them moved away from Charlotte, but Jaya Mataji and Chaya Mataji are happy to start a Bhagavat Seva project in their community, where they have moved. So, as Prabhu had mentioned, this is actually the real happening where you have a follow-up, immediately, and then they go and multiply. I was remembering Bhakti Vinod Thakur's Bhakti Vriksha program, where we have to multiply. We have to multiply, the trunk gets bigger, and then more number of branches occur, and then how we multiply. And we are also expanding the similar way in ISV. We are adding 2 more classes. Sirisha Mataji will be doing a class in her community. Mukta and Shama Vallabhi Matajis have moved to the same community, so they would want to do a class together in their community. So globally now, we will have 5 classes in 4 at location and 1 online in California. And we, of course, we might add a few more, but these are for sure that's going to happen in 2020. Lalita Mataji will continue in North Carolina, Aparupa Mataji in New Jersey. We will have Chaya Mataji doing it in Philadelphia, and Jaya Mataji doing it in Atlanta. So we have, a total of about 9 classes that would happen in 2020. And now, before I end, I was just thinking, every time I put it as 2020 global, I was just remembering that, of course, how a vision of a Vaishnava can take you far further. So we need the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, so we actually can go global. Our goal is at some point to do 108 centers, and like how Srila Prabhupada did. So that will actually get us 1,000 Srimad Bhagavatams, and we need your prayers. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I would like to hear from everybody else. There are things that we could improve on, and feedback about things that is.
Regarding your website, I was curious about whether you have a Facebook for this already?
No, Prabhu.
I've noticed that many big networkers, the other day I was looking at Jay Shetty's program. He mostly relies on on Facebook rather than a website. Just from personal experience, websites are really hard to make and they're much harder to maintain.
Okay.
People just don't maintain them and then they fall apart and get attacked by robots. But you can immediately start a Facebook and people are used to that, and it could be a quick fix for getting visibility and getting the kind of networking power that you want right away.
Yes, great. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, we'll have a Facebook page. Yes, Mataji.
I was just wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about the classes, like what's like just a basic idea of the curriculum and what the mode of the classes are.
Sure. So we have a 45-minute class, and we teach every 2 weeks a new shloka. Every week is a new story. We do some crafts. And depending on the teacher, some teachers are very comfortable doing crafts. Some teachers are comfortable teaching simple music, bhajans. So we also have bhajans and craft and things like that, yeah, for 45 minutes. Yes. Sorry, go ahead, Mata.
Is there anyone, has anyone connected with dance teachers at all? Like classical dance teachers?
Currently, all the classes that we have is based on the stories from Srimad Bhagavatam and Shloka. That's a very good point, because this is something that I want to hear from everybody. I do have one person who's classically trained, and he wants to teach singing. And he wants to contribute his Lakshmi to Bhagavad Seva. So we have not explored that path yet. I mean, that'll be great, because everybody is using their talent to distribute books.
Well, it might just also be a way of finding like recruits, because I mean, I don't know. When I was a dance student, which was a long time ago, you know, a lot of times the dance teachers would have like a wide variety of students, some of whom were not very familiar with the stories, and so that made it actually difficult for them to do the dances. So it's like, you know, for me, it's like, oh, Nrsingadev, okay, obviously I know who Nrsingadev is, but my classmate was like, why am I looking like a lion? What am I doing? And so, you know, like my mother would actually kind of get recruited in to have like a class for the other students. So it's like you could offer it almost as a service, like you're teaching classical Indian dance. Srimad Bhagavatam is very much in the dance. We could have a class where we teach, you know.
That would be great if there are some dance students who would want to learn.
Well, if the dance teacher tells them to, then
yeah, that would be great. We would love to do a class for them. Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji.
Mataji, and also if you can consider to have a goal, integrate at least with other groups, like, you know, Chinmaya Mission or Art of Living or whatever other groups. So they don't have Bhagavatam. They don't have. So if you can promote anyway in Bay Area we are doing it, but other areas, if we can consider at least, you know, the Chinmaya Mission can take our Bhagavatam, can then read it. So in that way our books go. They can teach our books, not a problem. But if you can organize with, coordinate or integrate with other groups, that will be a huge impact.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. We tried one. We are in the process of getting an after-school program.
Right.
So if we could get connected to these, there's one in Cupertino where the lady actually conducts Vedic school, but she said after-school program we can go and teach. So, you know, yeah, but that's a very nice idea. Thank you.
So I shipped one to Houston Chinmaya Mission. So Bhagavatam, so I can connect with you.
Oh, please. Yes,
Can
Thank you,
organize.
Prabhu.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
I think one thing I really liked in this is the online classes. I think it has a huge potential, because just in my family we take like 4 online classes.
Oh, wow.
So it's just a huge $1 billion business is going on that. It's just connecting students and the teachers.
Do you teach, Prabhu?
I take classes.
Can we recruit you for Bhagavad Seva?
Sure, I can go for that. So, you know, just connecting and basically how to get the students, and I think it has a very huge potential, and it can almost explode actually
Yes.
internationally, because somebody, the classes that we take, somebody, there's a company in China who is just doing this business of connecting the student and the teacher. So there are several
Yes.
companies who is doing that. But this can be a huge, huge potential where many people may be eager to learn and many people are just eager to teach and just connecting them.
Yes, yes.
Thank
you, Prabhu. That's amazing. And that reminds me that we absolutely are looking for online instructors. So anybody who feels that they will be able to, share their knowledge, that would be great. And you can stay anywhere in the world and teach. It's just a 45 minutes for 1 week, and we have all the curriculum. What has to be taught in each class. I mean, of course, we were ready to take what you want to add to, but, there's no much big work that you will have to sit. Yes, yes.
Sorry. So since it's online, it's like Prabhuji is saying, like there's it's opportunities are abundance, especially for people who are like in satellite places and they can teach. But my question is, if somebody wants to set it up in their home, would somebody come to get them till they are started? Because when you're fledgling, you have so many doubts and time and resources and all those things come into play. And then also getting your family on board and, husband and wife on board. So could somebody, because you guys are authority, you've done it, you've started it, you have a vision for it. So can you come to those houses and get them started? Do we have those resources?
Currently what we have is, we won't be able to go to every corner, if it's for you, we can come there. but in general, we have the resources available online. So we also have an online connection where if someone is interested in Bhagavad Seva, we just do a simple, now we have the core team, Apurva Mataji or Lalita Mataji or myself. We actually do one-on-one on a Zoom call, explain them the process and show them whatever we have, the materials and what has to be taught and everything in detail, and connect them. And now it's there. Again, very important point is if suppose I live in Charlotte, I distribute books. I'm doing the class, the score goes to Charlotte Temple, right? So then it's their connection with the temple authority, whoever is taking care of the book points or book score and things like that, to connect with them and set up the PayPal and things like that. That the individual person has to do. Yeah, so if somebody lives in Alaska, then they have to connect with the Alaska temple. As far as the Lakshmi points, the Lakshmi would go to that temple. But as far as Bhagavad Seva is concerned, our goal is to increase the distribution of Bhagavatams around the world. That's the main thing. Yeah.
I was just wanted to add one point, Mataji, if we can make a small video, maybe 45 seconds, a minute, or 1.5 minutes, where kids and parents can share their experience in terms of the benefit they have received out of those classes, and then we can circulate on medias, WhatsApp groups or Facebooks and Instagram, which the kids are using nowadays even more than Facebooks. And if kids share on their Instagram, then there are people who are not Krishna conscious or not aware of these things can get attracted, if that helps.
Sure, Prabhu. We do have a very simple video that we did in 2019 end about what we had, but we didn't have parents talking in it. So that's a very good point. Thank you.
We can interview based on some questions we can give them and they can answer on their own or what benefits they get.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, Haribol.
Yes.
I also echo Ajay Govind Prabhu's point. I think it's a age of social media and advertisement packaging.
Yeah.
So I think there is also a huge potential. All we need is few accolades that I benefited by reading this, and somebody big authorizing that. Just like Judge Harrison, when he actually had that Krishna song, My Sweet Lord, and he wrote the Krishna book. That is the time most of the devotees are made in Hare Krishna movement. Similarly, so we need two things. One is common people, they are getting benefit through this. Some few statements on that, and maybe if we are fortunate, if we can get somebody big authorizing,
Sure.
and that's it. And then then
Yes.
once it goes out, then everybody is going to naturally accept the things.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. That's very helpful. Yes,
I think
Prabhu.
one of the biggest problem which parents are trying to solve in this age is that the kids are more attached to gadgets, and their anxiety level is increasing. So that is one way that they can go away from the gadget, and if they are participating in the community classes for Bhagavatam, that takes their time away from the gadgets.
That's right.
I mean, one of the points we can highlight as pain points which parents will feel more attracted as an answer. If we can have some pain points and based a video on that,
Yes, that's so true. Yeah,
we
yeah.
can do more on that. But
Sure. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. Anybody else would like to comment or give a feedback?
Right. Thank you.
Mataji, first of all, seek forgiveness that I was not able to make this map for you.
What, Prabhu?
You wanted me to make this graphic three days ago, and I've been recovering from sickness.
No, that's okay.
I actually support Prabhuji's point about making videos and putting them on various social media sites. I can volunteer for you.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu, for not making the map so that now you can do volunteer for more.
So that is actually very, very impactful these days when people see other people talking about the benefits that they received. And many people, when multiple people speak about the same topic, it creates a huge impact. It makes a certain thing believable.
That's right.
So I think that is very, very helpful. And we should definitely work on those lines, and I'm offering myself as a service.
Thank you, Prabhu. Do we have anybody else who would like to offer their services? Thank you, Prabhu. Oh, Jai. Because I'm literally a zero in computer. I can only do the talking. Yes, Prabhu.
Just as a suggestion, like book distributors can have your cards for potential people who might want to be interested to learn Bhagavatam. So then we can connect them straight away. Because sometimes we do meet people that read Gita, and we ask them this very interesting question: are you ready for the next level? And they're like, what is the next level? And we give them Bhagavatam. And so in that case also we can give you a business card of the classes, right? And invite them right away. Because for a lot of people, like if they're business people, they don't read books. It's really hard, everybody listens audiobooks or online. So that way it will be easier, to join. Especially class is 45 minutes. I don't think it's as long as it's less than an hour, I feel like people can find time for that. If it's like hour and a half or 2 hours, like we have here at ISV, it's hard. Meaning attention span is very short. Like they have this in statistics that 10-second rule, right? Or something like that.
Yes.
So I feel like 45 minutes is a perfect time.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. That's a very nice point. Yeah. You have it right. Yes, Prabhu.
Another point I was thinking was that during the summer break, a lot of parents have a problem what their kids should be engaged in.
Yeah.
So we can design short classes or courses, especially for the summer courses as an introduction, or to create the interest and then pull them onto the regular courses.
Yeah, so we tried that once in ISV, and it really worked well. We had our kids do a Bhagavatam course for 2 months. Yeah, very nice point, Prabhu. And I could just add that to Bhagavad Seva. Very good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm super excited that we already have 3 people working on the Facebook page. Thank you, Prabhu, for giving the idea of Facebook page, which I didn't have. Yes, Avantika.
I think this idea is really good. And if, like you said, there are also classes for children with that, like if some of the older kids could get involved so the new children can see examples of like how it's turned out, or else like just for them just seeing the curriculum, it seems like overwhelming and like something they wouldn't want to initially do. But if they maybe get a chance to like interact or speak with the kids who've already like grown up with that, it'd be nice.
Super happy. Yeah. I would love you all to come and just observe what any of us do in the online classes. And we'd be so happy to give it off, add another class, and Avantika could teach one class too.
Mataji, one more.
Yes, Prabhu.
So one more thing is, Bhagavatam also can be presented in many different attractive packages. It's like 3 session, 5 modules, or they're different depending on the need of the audience. So it doesn't have to be in a single way of presenting. So that's another option. So what I'm trying to say here is, in a different packages, the Bhagavatam can be taught.
Yes, absolutely.
The 3 session course, or 5 session, or 10 session, or.
That's very, very wonderful, Prabhu, because I always thought about, most of the kids or teens or even adults in this country. I mean, my goal of doing online classes for adults was more for non-Indians. I mean, when I thought about that, because many of them haven't read these books, and I was going to take topics like depression and quote from Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter, Uddhava Gita, all the places where Krishna actually, or Shukadeva Goswami directly talks about how the mind acts and what is the treatment plan for that as well, which is actually mentioned in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, to do some courses like that. Yeah, so I would just ask you to help out, Prabhu. We really need, we have so many ideas and so many things out there, but we really need more people helping. So, that is something that I was thinking about, how to get rid of this. Like how Mayapur Bihari Prabhu had just mentioned about, medical Bhagavad Gita. So in medical Bhagavad Gita, absolutely it has to be the 6th chapter. So similarly, like when we're doing a course for the adults, we can of course take up the problem that they have. If you are suffering with depression, take the 6-week course and, exactly quote from the scriptures and say, this is how you can get rid of it. And if you want these books, as part of this, we'll give you the books too. Yes. What's time?
Just kind of following up on what Avantika was saying, and also, I'm sorry, Prabhu, I don't remember your name. Ajay Govinda Prabhu was saying in the summer, summer camps traditionally, American summer camps traditionally, the little kids are actually taught by older kids, the camp counselors, quote unquote. That's actually like most kids' first job as high schoolers. Or young college students is a very common thing. And so, and I think that there's a reason for that, which is that like little kids really look up to older kids. And so, I think everybody remembers their like camp counselors from when they were little. It's much more memorable that way. So you could imagine having like a 3-day thing. And when I was in high school, we had something called Interim, which was a 3-day experience. And I used to run one, where it was basically, I don't know if you remember this old movie, Sita Swayamvar. It was in the 80s. Sita's wedding. It was like this. It was the Ramayana up to the wedding.
The kids, huh?
Yeah. So basically, like, because everybody in the school had to read the Ramayana, and so, which I managed to get them to not read a bad Ramayana. But anyway, so basically we'd like show the movie, and then like you could do fun things around that depending on the age. So like, I would bring like all these saris and dhotis and like get everyone dressed up, or like then on the second day it would be like, oh, we're going to learn how to make this, this food that was like, different things. And so you can kind of organize like a little mini camp thing around something like that, and it almost doesn't feel like a class. They think they're just watching a movie.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Mataji, I am a big fan of this Aruddha Mataji's book, Srimad Bhagavatam for young readers. It has a very systematic study of Bhagavatam, like for beginners, like objective questions, and then even for younger kids and older kids, and even, the kids like me. Critical reasoning, reading comprehension, and different kinds of exercises. So I'm just wondering, like, I'm not sure whether like, this can also be incorporated in that Bhagavad Sevya, teaching classes.
Yes, Prabhu. So 2 things. One is when we are teaching kids one-on-one, we can surely have books like what Aruddha Mataji's books and things like that. And usually whatever curriculum we use, we take a permission of the person that has actually printed the book. So we have to get permission from Aruddha Mataji to even use her online, soft copy. And just not that. And we, when we are teaching kids, most of the kids currently who we are dealing with Bhagavad Seva are teaching Bhagavad Seva are all non-devotee kids. So going into so much of detail about like what Arudha Mataji does a fantastic job. It's nice for devotee kids. But for kids who are not, the curriculum currently we have is a 5-year curriculum. The first 3 years are just very simple, very easy to understand. No going detail about lust, anger, greed, pride and all. Just simple stories. So yes, but that's a very nice point, Prabhu. We will keep, because we want to approach everybody and have as much material as we can. When we have devotee kids, we'll have option to do that. Yeah, thank you.
Prabhu, this will take as a last suggestion. And when devotees are giving their ideas, we don't have to necessarily answer them. We'll just collect ideas and then we can, so that we can get more ideas. Prabhu.
Yeah. I just want to elaborate quickly on what I mentioned already. Like, if we give business cards also, you know, it will be source of bringing people. We don't have to necessarily go online and just like catch somewhere, you know, online space. We can just meet the right candidates, you know. On the street when we distribute books, we see some people ready, so we give them, they're like potential candidates, you know. And also if we have those business cards with online classes, it just shows how big organization we are, you know, because sometimes when you distribute books and like if you don't mention that we are book trust, if you don't show the side of the Gita with the, you know, the emblem of the BBT, and you don't say we have website krishna.com, which is in a soft-bound Gita in the back, you know, and also sometimes I show them centers around the world. It just shows that we are a huge organization, you know, so people have a lot of trust. And in addition, because these days online classes, it's a big deal. So if we present also that we have online classes, people just think, wow, this guy's just like top notch, you know, like they're a big organization, you know, huge. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Malini has all the points. I'll take it and we'll try to implement on it. And we need the blessings of all of you so we can do huge. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Sukeshwari, for the wonderful presentation and for all of you for giving those ideas. Next, we'll actually move to Western Sankirtan, Arabic Sankirtan team, who are going to present. And after this one, we will actually take a break for prasadam. And the break will be for half an hour only because we are running 15 minutes late. So if we can quickly take prasadam and come back in half an hour, that would be nice.
Yeah, this is good, this is good, this is good. Chair, one more chair. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. So we are representing Western Sankirtan team ISV. Hare Krishna, is it audible? Okay. So if you see, Western Sankirtan team is very close to what Srila Prabhupada and his disciples at the very early age of ISKCON, they were actually doing it, right? Going on streets and distributing books to each and every person who they were meeting on streets. So Western Sankirtan team basically represents that. We go out on book distribution at various places, far and wide, and try to meet people and connect them to Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So these were the goals that we had for 2019. This was our goal was to have 35,000 book points. That included Western Sankirtan team, Harinam, as well as Madhavan Prabhu going every day. That was our thought process was when we made this goal. And this is the approximate breakup, around 9,000 Maha big books, 10,000 big books, 4,000 medium books, and 20,000 small books. So the goal was 35,000 of last year. And then in 2019, just some highlights. Big improvement on team's dedication, responsibility, and cooperation. Krishna Prabhu went with kids in Uber. We'll discuss more that. Actually, Madhagovind Prabhu trained the kids through Skype calls, and we wanted one representative also to go out with the kids. So Krishna Prabhu volunteered, and he didn't have the car. So the dedication to do books and to train the kids, they used to take Uber and they used to go. So how we can use all the resources in Krishna service, also using Uber company. That is nice. Then one of the point that we wanted to do 2019 was planning the spots early, maybe by Thursday, by Friday. We did 50% of that. Basically, Kautukarna Prabhu every Thursday he used to send reminders to everyone that who wants to join for book distribution. Every Thursday, and devotees used to just reply by saying Gauranga. So we did that also. And 12 hours non-stop book distribution on Christmas Day. We did from 11 a.m. from the morning till 11 p.m. in the night. Various teams were there, and we had 3 spots on that day in Christmas in the park. So some of the highlights. Big success with 3 Murti sets and Saptarishi sets. Saptarishi sets was something that started with New York Center. Amazing. It was even here. It was widely accepted by visitors. And 3 Murti sets was also, it's like a Bhakta sets. And then this also new, nice that we actually had lot of teams this time every week going. Earlier 2018 we had 1 or 2 teams, but this time we had 4 to 5 teams going every weekend, and approximately 85% of the weekends we had covered this time. And in 2018 we used to go only on Saturdays. Now we expanded it by going on Sundays as well. Sundays, especially in the morning, Christmas in the park, or before the class starts, which is 4 o'clock. So farmers market. Going to farmers market and maybe Indian stores. So Sunday also we started. And last 2 weeks of marathon, something we did every day. From 15 December to 3rd of Jan, we were doing every day book distribution. New core members joined our team: Jayant Prabhu, Adin Prabhu, Akshay, Narsimha Prabhu, Nipun Prabhu, Krishna Prabhu. Boomerang is written because he took a break in between for completing some of his stuff, and now he's back with back with a bang. So he's all now double focused on how we want to do Sankirtan. Kripali Mataji and Akshay Trivedi Prabhu. We also uncovered some of the spots that we were not doing in 2018, but we started doing now in 2019, and we want to double down more on 2020. Monterey Bay, Fisherman's Wharf, Los Gatos, Art and Wine Festival, Conscious Living Expo. This was a big hit. We basically had a table in Conscious Living Expo, and then a lot of visitors. Actually, that expo is actually for people who want to live conscious life. So basically we are targeting the audience exactly what we want. And in fact, over there were some of the visitors who came. They were actually also having expos at various places, and they said, why don't you have a table there also? So yeah. Then Castro Valley Art and Wine Festival, Lands and Farmers Market. These are the places that we didn't have in 2018, but we started doing 2019. These are some of the stats. Big festivals that is always our, the maximum books that we do is at Jazz Festival, Pumpkin Festival, Folk Festival, Christmas in the Park. These are the festivals that we do every year, and this time also it was big. Some of the festivals which are very regular, spots are Santa Cruz, Fisherman's Wharf, and Haight Ashbury. These are the spots that we go almost every week. We trained more devotees this year, to do books at the book table. Prasadam by Manjula Kanda Mataji, Harita Mataji and her team is a savior. That's very important. More focus on language books. We this time had language cards, and that was very well accepted, especially for Spanish and Arabic books and even Chinese. When the language becomes a barrier, we used to just show the language card. And they just saw it, and deep within they just felt to give some donation. They just gave it. So that was very nice actually. Fisherman's Wharf, we tried it a lot. It worked out. Language cards worked well in Chinese and Spanish audience as well. So this is something that we are proud of. If you see that line down. So most of the companies has revenue graphs like this. We have points graph like this. So I remember at the start we had a goal of 35,000. 2019 we had that goal, including Harinam, Western Sankirtan, Madhagovind Prabhu. And 4-5 months before, December, like around June, July, Malini Mataji and ISKCON Prabhu was supposed to have a meeting on Thursday, discussing with various teams that where we are with the goal. And Kautuk Karna Prabhu called me on Wednesday evening, saying, Prabhu, next day there is a meeting. What should we say? And I told him, tell them, not gonna possible. It's not going to be possible. We just, it was the first time and we didn't calculate it properly. Just tell them we can't do it. And just tell sorry. Next time we'll be careful. And then he said, Prabhu, how can we say that? He said, it's better to say now rather than being, Then that was done. Then in December first week, our dear Madhagovind Prabhu, he started calling each and every Western Sankirtan devotee and asking, so how are the things going with Western Sankirtan? Do we have any goals? And we're just telling that, Prabhu, it is, 35,000 points is too much. The way we were doing like 600 points every marathon, every MSF, it was a far-fetched. But then December 15th, Krishna Prabhu just said that, Prabhu, today we want to go for Christmas in the park. Can we go? And I said, yeah, I can drive. And 15th of December, we started going first time. Like 15th December, we went. We did around 150 books or something. Next day, he again called, Prabhu, let's go again. Then we said, okay, let's go to Palo Alto. Tuesday, we went to Palo Alto. Wednesday, we went to Palo Alto. After that, we thought Krishna is signaling something big can happen. And then we immediately called up Kautuk Karna Prabhu, Anand Keshava Prabhu, that Prabhu, let's try to do every day. Let's try to go and let's have multiple spots. So Kautuk Karna Prabhu started going to Taj Mahal. Then we had 3 spots at Christmas in the park at some of the days. Anand Keshava Prabhu alone and sometimes with the devotees, he used to go to Arabic books, store to store, and he will cover more in detail. So, and then we just shot up. Like in last 15 days, we did around 10,000 points. So, and So, as Vaisheshika Prabhu says, it's a teamwork. So, it worked out. So our goal was 35,000 book points, but we did 53,498 book points. That includes Harinam as well. So inspiration. Now we'll talk all about inspiration. Srimad Bhagavatam sets going in festivals, Street Sankirtan. This is Pumpkin Festival. As I said before, Pumpkin Festival, Jazz Festival is something that we always look forward for. And we have Srimad Bhagavatam on the streets. Again, as I mentioned before, Madhagovind Prabhu was training the kids on Skype, but Krishna Prabhu took them in Uber, and these are some of the photos of that Sankirtan. This is a special day, Christmas Day. Devotees got up 4 o'clock. Vaisheshika Prabhu says that we should have our sadhana early in the morning. They all came at 4 o'clock, completed their rounds. 7 o'clock, they started packing 3 murti sets. And 11 o'clock, they left for Christmas in the park. Till 11:30, devotees were doing books. They wrapped up. And on the right-hand side, that was 12 a.m. in the morning, devotees were counting Lakshmi near the altar of Srila Prabhupada. Jai. So, this was a very sweet experience. So, as the motto is, rain or shine. This was devotees. It was raining very heavily, but still devotees were doing books in Santa Cruz. This was November 24th when all the devotees went for Sankirtan. Yeah. This is special, left hand side, Prahlad. It looks like Prahlad. Adin Prabhu alone distributing books and teaching Bhagavad Gita to like 6-7, tall people. It's a little scary when I saw that from far away, I was a little scared at what's happening. But then Adin Prabhu said, no, I'm just teaching them Bhagavad Gita. So, very inspiring photo. And by the way, Adin Prabhu came from book distribution. So, yeah, 2018, December. On the right hand side, we have Indu Shekhar Prabhu. He came for 4 days to Silicon Valley. And we told him that 4 days you are there, you better, spend some time here. But rather he preferred to go out for books, very inspirational. He went for 2 days out of that for book distribution. Then, yeah, some of the more photos. The right one, we again booked a table in one of the festivals. It turned out pretty good. It was a food festival, Earth Day. Yeah. So, food gets generated from Earth. So, that's Earth Day festival. And this is our dear Kunjri. She now started doing books alone. On her own she can do. No one is there around her. She is alone distributing the books. Yeah. And on the right hand side, Bhagavad Gita challenge is there. She is reading the books as well. She decides who should go for Sankirtan. When she cries, one person, Haldar Prabhu or Kumari Mataji goes. And if she cries loudly, then all three of them goes. So, yeah. We have Kunjri here. Our backend, we can't do books if the backend support is missing. On the left hand side, we have Tarun Prabhu and Venudhari Gopal Prabhu. Yeah. They are working round the clock. In fact, in December, during last 15 days, we really harassed them, both of them a lot. Where are the books? Where are the books? So, yeah, amazing. And on the right hand side, we have Prasadam taken care by Manjulakanta Maji and their team. So, this is 2020 goals. Total book points, 10% increase, 60,000 book points. Harinam, just a breakdown. Harinam, 15,000 book points. Spanish, we had a small goal last 2019. This time because we have Adin Prabhu now, we are planning to have 2,500 book points just from Spanish books. And Arabic books, 15,000 book points. Rest will be more like a Sankirtan, street Sankirtan. So this is just a breakdown of 27,500 book points, 8,000 Mahabig books, 8,000 big books. This is the goal basically of 2020. 4,000 medium books and 60,000 small books. Yeah. Improvements, forming up Western Sankirtan youth team, adventure, cover 3 major festivals. I'll just go fast now. Festival reservation ahead of time. This worked out well in 2019. We can do something more. 2020. Follow-ups, something we have to work on it more. We have some ideas. We'll see how much we can build on that. Giving out more books. As Vaishya Prabhu said, we are there to distribute the books. Books in bunches. We had this time 3 Murtis and Saptarishis. Cover East Bay Art and Wine festivals as well. 2 more slides. We need more signs. Somehow we have to work. We will see how we can get more signs. Sometimes we are short of signs. More devotees, less signs. So, yeah, that way people stop. So, yeah. And sometimes in companies we have multi-year projects. We also have a multi-year project which is living on time. Western Sankirtan team is little different because it has to start early in the morning, and because by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, visitors don't come on street so much, they go back home. So we have to start early and we have to end early, something like that. So, gratitude. Srila Prabhupada, he says these literatures are the solid ground upon which our preaching stands. So, Vaishya Prabhu and Nirakula Mataji, overflow of the ecstasies we feel from our spiritual practices. And we can see that especially during the last 15 days, devotees were chanting early in the morning and then overflowing the ecstasies. Leaders leading by example. On the left hand side we have SKP Prabhu, on the right hand side we have Malini Mataji. And one final slide. One of the reasons we were able to do this much books was because of the inspiration of Madhav Prabhu. He was constantly guiding us and inspiring us to go out for books. So yeah, that's it.